Alright, in my last video about this tractor, TC33, New Holland, I was talking about the how to change the fuel filter. And one thing that I've been just learning is, for some reason, I must be getting a lot of water in my diesel fuel, or there's a lot of sludge building up in the fuel tank, because since then, as time has gone by, I've had to replace the filter more often and more often. It's gotten now to where the filter only lasts like a week, and then it gets swollen up and clogged with water or something like that. But of course, the filter looks brand new still. So I'm gonna take the fuel tank out and clean it out, see if there's any varnish and water, sludge, things like that. Don't know how to do it, but fix and find out. Here's a filter that I just took out the other day. I mean, it looks clean, brand new, but diesel won't go through it. First, I'm gonna try to remove this cover. Down here is need a 1/2-inch socket. Take that loose and see if I can get this black cover off. Then I'll look at getting this upper dash type cover off, and the tank is right in there. Those covers came right off. And then you can see right there, there's another 1/2-inch bolt that uses a 1/2-inch socket. I don't know if there's one over here also. But anyway, I'll take those off and we'll see how we can do. Looks like there's a couple more over here underneath the hood. I don't know. I have to use a wrench on that one. Muffler's in the way. Alright, so this top part's all loose, but I'm gonna have to take the knob off of the, I don't know if you call it the throttle or whatever. It controls the gas, that's, you know, RPM. But anyway, we'll take that off so we can slip this cover off now. It's pretty dirty under here. I have to wash it off. I've disconnected this. Take this wiring harness loose so I can move this dash. Well, still have to disconnect more. I'm gonna try to disconnect this fuel line. Can't reach it, and let the diesel drain out into my bucket. The fuel's still draining out, and my gas gauge has never worked properly since I bought this tractor, so I'm gonna go ahead and pull this, what's that called, a fuel sending unit? Something like that. That thing that tells you how much fuel you got. I'm gonna take that out and see if I can see any noticeable things wrong with it. Maybe the float's stuck. I can't see any obvious reasons why it wouldn't be working. I mean, it moves smoothly. Contact area doesn't look, well, I don't know if it looks good or not, but anyway, we'll concentrate on the tank. This plug was plugged up into the dash for the instrument panel, and you just kind of squeeze these two little tabs and it'll pull right out. And you disconnect this from the side. Like I said, I took this off, and there are 2 bolts in the bottom of the tank, probably 1/2-inch, and a screw over on the other side over there. I'm gonna have to take the hood off, which I believe is gonna require a 3/16 Allen wrench, which is missing from my set, of course, so I'm gonna go find one. We'll see about taking that hood off. These 3/16 Allen wrench bolts for the hood are super tight. I couldn't hardly get them loose. I had to put WD-40 on them and I had to tap them, give them a little friction to help break them loose. And while I was breaking this one loose with a little wrench as a cheater pipe, my Allen wrench flew off into the leaves and it will be never found again. Luckily, I had another one. I'm gonna get these loose. Now I have to take the shock that holds the hood open. Take that off. All right, so I'm able to get the hood out of the way. See, this was up in this hole, so you know, without disconnecting the shock that holds the hood open, I don't have to disconnect that. That's good, because see, I'll be able to get this loose. So I guess next I'll disconnect these two, and like I said, I'm gonna pull this out, and then there's the two bolts underneath. And then there's one little screw right there. We'll see if it'll come out. Okay, I'm taking these two off. Now, I'm gonna put this in the video that I'm putting this clamp way back here, the one that goes to this one, and I'm gonna leave the clamp way up toward the front to the one that goes to this one. That way I don't get them mixed up, because I don't know which one does what. I'm having to use a 15 millimeter on these ones on the bottom. We'll see if the tank will come out after these two. Tell you what, I think this fuel tank don't want to come out. Here's a couple of 15 millimeter bolts that are back here behind this, I guess you would call a firewall. Breaking them loose, I'm gonna see if it'll come loose after them. If not, I don't know what else is holding it. Well, there's one more. Slip back down in there. I barely can get my ratchet down in there. I had to use a wrench on this one over here because there's no room for the ratchet because the muffler's in the way. I'll see if I can get that loose. I think it's gonna come out after that. All right, so finally got all the bolts loose and the tank comes on out. Oh. All right, now I'll get ready to mix up my vinegar and baking soda solution to put inside and clean it out. This is the hose, the fuel line at the bottom. Kind of whittled the bark off of a Yopon stick and I stuck in there and clamped it so that all my cleaning solution will stay in. So like I read on the internet, to get rid of varnish and sludge, you can take about a cup of baking soda and some vinegar. And then, it doesn't sound normal, but you put water in there with it. But I guess you'll need to, you know, we're gonna let it evaporate out. Oh yeah, I forgot, vinegar and baking soda does that fizzing stuff like when you used to make them volcanoes in the school science project. Alright, I got some water in there along with it. I'm gonna go ahead and put this whole bottle of vinegar in there. Might as well not play around if you went through all that trouble to get that tank out of there. It's been soaking for several hours and I shook it around. So I got a fairly clean bucket. I'm gonna dump that into the bucket and see what it looks like. Oh, that looks really dirty. So obviously cleaned some stuff off the walls. All right, I'm gonna set it upside down right there, kind of leaning at an angle. Let all the water kind of drip out and evaporate out. So to do this job, to get the tank out, you're gonna need a 13 millimeter, which I thought it was a half earlier, but it's a 13 millimeter socket or wrench, a 15 millimeter socket and a 15 millimeter wrench, and a 3/16 Allen wrench, and a Phillips screwdriver. I think that's about all it takes. That's all you're gonna need. Oh, yeah, I need a pair of pliers to undo a couple of those little hose clamps. And you might need a flathead screwdriver for a couple of different hose clamps on the fuel line at the bottom. Yeah, okay, that should be it. All right, looks like the tank is all dried up inside. And this hose looks really funky. And whoever worked on this the last time used the wrong size hose clamps. So luckily I found some. And I got some hose, so I'm going to replace this hose and put the proper size clamps. Put it back in there. Got my new hose on there. And I'm just gonna be putting it back just how I took it apart. I got it all back together, but I found that there are several places where the plastic is broken, where bolts are supposed to like bolt this on. So you know, it is an old tractor, so I guess plastic gets kind of brittle after time. All right, well, I put about 4 gallons of diesel in there, and the guy at the New Holland dealership told me that recommended that I use some of this diesel clean. And I'm also gonna put a little bit of seafoam in there. And we'll do updates in the comments in the next week or two to see how well this worked out. Hope it helps if any of y'all need to remove your fuel tank and clean out the varnish and sludge. If it does, you know, go ahead and click like for me, and maybe even subscribe. I'm sure I'll be doing more work on this raggedy old tractor in the future. All right, don't forget to go outside.